Welcome into Tennessee Titans Today. I am Tom Downey here with the latest Titans rumors and a news update as well as it relates to the offensive line. Who will be the team's right tackle in Week 1? Well, head coach Mike Vrabel has provided a pretty significant update in that area. He said that competition is down to 3 players. Noteworthy, not in that mix right now, is rookie Dillon Radunz, who I thought at some point was going to emerge as this team's right tackle. Now, there is no decision yet on who that starter will be, but as I mentioned, it's down to 3. In no particular order, it is Ty Sambrailo, David Quessenberry, and then Kendall Lamm, the free agency pickup from the Cleveland Browns this year. So I'm going to go more in depth on each of these guys, but before we get too far in, I want you to pick the Week 1 starting right tackle. Who do you think it'll end up being? Type L for Kendall Lamm, type Q, David Quessenberry, or type S for Ty Sambrailo. Now, before we get into those 3 guys more in depth, I do want to discuss Radunz here, who I thought at some point this year would emerge as this team's right tackle. He's been getting work, though, at both guard and tackle, and it appears that at least early on in his career, he's going to kind of be one of those swing backup offensive linemen who maybe does emerge down the road as the team's future right tackle, which I think he should and will be at some point. But for now, Radunz is not in the mix to start at right tackle, but they like him as a backup on the offensive line. Now, the right tackle position. For now, I will list Quessenberry as the starter in that area because he got the start in preseason week 3, but that doesn't mean it's a lock. Kendall Lamm and Ty Sambrailo, I do believe, are both still in that mix. First, more on David Quessenberry. 437 snaps last year. He allowed 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, and 10 hurries. His PFF run grade, which is where all these stats come from, by the way, wasn't elite, but despite the touchdown in 2019, he does offer some impact and ability there. It is still a process here for the Titans to make a reliable, steady play at right tackle, but I think that David is the front runner. Now, Ty Sambrailo also played plenty last year, a little bit less snap-wise, 415, 4 sacks, 4 quarterback hits, so not as good in pass protection as Quessenberry was, but Sambrailo has proven he can be a swing tackle. Maybe that ends up being his area. He was also much better in the run game. As we move forward now, Kendall Lamm is next up here. He did not play as much for the Browns last year. He did grade out better, I would argue in large part, because he was playing with a much better supporting cast on that offensive line. He actually had the best run grade of the 3, but again, a very small sample size. So my guess right now is that name right there. David Quessenberry ends up being the right tackle week 1 for Tennessee. I don't think that means necessarily that Sambrailo or Kendall Lamm won't play at some point this year. It's a big question mark. Short term, I think long term as well, if it's not Dillon Radunz at some point soon for the Titans' right tackle spot. Now, Titans fans, it is very simple here at Chat Sports. The more subscribers that we have, the more videos we will do for you guys. I want to get to at least 1,000, a good benchmark here at Chat Sports. We're not that far away, 721. So if you want more Titans videos, and we do plan on giving them to you, let that be clear. Hit that big red button and subscribe today. Let's talk trade now for the Tennessee Titans. How about going after Akiem Hicks? Now, FanSided suggested this, saying, and correctly so, there's a lot of problems on that defensive line. Avery Jones retired. 2 guys are already on IR. They were thin before that. They're even thinner now. Hicks would represent an upgrade. The one big problem here is the contract. Hicks, in the last year of his deal, has a $10.4 million base salary. That is not that affordable for Tennessee. Now, the path would likely be you extend Akiem Hicks, although he's on the wrong side of 30. That might be a bit of a red flag for other NFL teams, although there was the report that the Bears allowed Hicks to shop for a trade if he found one. Appears so far that is not the case. Hicks in 2020 he's long been a really good 3-4 defense lineman, some 5 technique, 3 technical, even some 1 technique. He's able to be a flexible piece on a defensive line. I think would be one of the 3 best interior linemen fairly easily on this Titans team. I do fear at least a little bit that the decline might have begun to set in. If he gets cut, which he's not going to, heck yeah, I got interest. It's a lesser version of, say, Zach Ertz. I've got more interest in trading for Akiem Hicks than I do Zach Ertz. But what do you guys think before we go into the how he would fit and what the team could give up? Would you trade for Akiem Hicks? Get your votes in. Type in Y for yes or N for no. Is that something you want the Titans to go do? Now, this more interior defensive line rotation, we'll use the base 3-4 front for Tennessee. I'm a big believer in Jeffrey Simmons. I'm excited about him. I like Danico Autry. I think he's a very solid piece, especially on passing downs. It's that third defensive line role, that mostly run-stopper-focused guy. I like Larrell Murchison, but he's a backup, I think, right now. Anthony Rush, Quan Jones, Woodrow Hamilton, do you really want those guys on your roster? Aren't they better as potential practice squad options? Javon Coley, Kyle Peck are already on IR. They're done for the year. I don't mind Tyler Tart, but I think they're missing one impact interior D lineman not named Jeffrey Simmons. Maybe Autry helps in that area, but Akiem Hicks definitely would. A big boy, 6'4", 347, can still stop the run. I don't think he is what he was at his absolute best in his very peak form, but he is still a dang good football player. And for a Titans team that is very much trying to contend, he's an intriguing name. Now, what would Tennessee have to give up? FanSided, I think, with a pretty good explanation there, suggested maybe cornerback could intrigue the Bears, and I am intrigued by that. Now, they mentioned 2 names, Christian Fulton plus a pick coming back from Chicago. I say no. I want Farley Fulton there long term. They also threw in Beyond Borders plus a pick, maybe a mid to late day 3 option, which I would consider. I don't know if that intrigues the Bears enough because Hicks's contract is a potential red flag for any team, but it is roster cutdown time, and trades often go down.